Today, we're designing and making a simple acrylic coaster set with a laser cutter. To design this project, I use a program called Rhinoceros and start by drawing a 4-inch square, which will be the overall shape of the coasters, and copy it over to use as a guide for the engraved design. I draw a circle with a 1/4-inch radius and align it at one corner of the square and trim it so only the curve at the corner remains. Using the mirror command, I copy the curve to all corners of the square and trim the corners to the curves. This will remove sharp edges from the coasters. Next, I move on to designing the pattern that will be engraved onto the surface of the coaster. For this project, the idea was to draw a shape, duplicate, and rotate it at regular intervals to create a pattern. Using the duplicated square as a guide, I draw a triangle by connecting 2 corners and center point of a line. Then, I mirror the triangle and move it up to create a star. Using the trim command, I remove all the overlapping and interior lines and use the join command to bring all of them together into one object. Next, I move one point of the star onto one edge of the square and use the scale command to shrink it down until it fits within the coaster. To create multiple copies at regularly spaced angles, I use the array command around a circle and input the number of copies that I want to create around 360 degrees. I try different number of copies until there's enough density to create a pattern. Then, I copy one of the stars, scale it down to a smaller size, center it on the coaster, array it around a circle, and repeat this until there are layers of the pattern within the coaster. Now, we just need to design a holder for the coasters. To do this, I start by drawing a line from the center of one side of the coaster to the other and I move it over. This will help me design around the exact width of one coaster so it fits within the holder. With the rotate command, I turned the line representing the width of the coaster so that it was at 15 degrees. The idea is to design a minimal holder that'll prop the coasters up at an angle. Next, I draw lines at the ends of the coaster to get an idea of the exact width to hold them in place. I offset the lines by 1/8 inch so there's some additional space for the coasters to be placed and taken out. Later, I decided to make the ends a 1/4 inch thick to add support. Since there will be 4 coasters for this project, the height of the ends that will hold them in place needed to be taller. I decided to make them a 1/2 inch tall since the thickness of my acrylic is a little under 1/8 of an inch. I also rounded the tops and corners of the holder. At the bottom, I decided to cut out more of the material by changing the overall shape of the holder. Now, I just need to design the cross support piece that'll hold 2 of the side frames in place. This will be a panel with end tabs that will be glued into slots in the frame. Then, I develop a 3D model by extruding all of the pieces to the thickness of the acrylic that I'll be using and rotate them into place. While creating the model, I saw that the width of the panel between the frames was too wide, so the coasters would have most likely slid off. To fix that, I went back to the panel design and reduced the width of it so the coasters would be held in place by the side frames. Here's how the 3D model came out. When the design was complete, I brought my clear and blue acrylic to my laser cutter and removed the protective masking tape. The protective film can lead to small flames from the laser, which can damage the laser cutter, so it's safer to remove it from the laser side of the material. I place the clear acrylic onto the crumb tray and start the process of cutting and engraving. For this project, I decided to use a high speed and power setting to engrave the lines into the material. This is faster than setting up the project to be photo engraved, where the laser goes back and forth thousands of times. Instead, the laser will follow every line from the pattern until the patterns are engraved. Watching the laser engrave into the clear acrylic and create these beautiful patterns is always mesmerizing. It's amazing to see the symmetrical and geometric artwork come to life through this machine. Once the clear acrylic was engraved and cut, I moved on to cutting the holder, which was very fast due to the size and minimal amount of pieces. If you're interested in purchasing a Glowforge for yourself, I'll share a link in the description section of this video that'll get you up to $500 off of a Glowforge Pro. When the pieces were cut, I took them out of my Glowforge and placed them on my work table. I removed the paper masking tape from the opposite side of the frame and panel. Next, I apply MaxiCure glue to the corners of the panel, bring over the frames, and carefully insert the panel tabs through the slots in the frames. Once the glue dries, the clear acrylic panels can be placed onto the holders and the product is complete. If you enjoyed this video, check out this playlist of my other acrylic crafts and consider subscribing. I'll see you again next week.